5 to 10% closing ratio by simply exposing people to this information. But I do know my business partners that I have, if you put anyone in front of Mr. Grayson Marks or on the phone with Mr. C. Thomas Gabriel, I know that's at least a 70% closing ratio. Because by the time you leave those two gentlemen's presence, you just like, okay, what do I need to do? So that's the luxury we have with the team. Does that make sense? And then I want to give you a couple of quick steps. I want to focus on the first 3 steps of our process, right? How to peak interest. I want to give you like 10 questions. I want you to hear what I'm saying, but I want everything I'm sharing with you, I want you to use your personality to engage people in the conversation, right? The first question that you see on that one sheeter is, the question is simply this, and I want you to really hear this question in regards to peaking interest. And what we do with peaking interest, we are simply trying to provoke a certain response. And the question is designed to let you know where that individual is, and we're just trying to provoke a certain response. And the first question is, if you had the time, and the money was right, and it fit into your time schedule, would you be open to listening to some information, how to generate some additional revenue? Right? So sometimes when you say money in this industry, people think, what do they think? Most of them think it's multi-level marketing, but I'm just giving you different word tracks. When I say revenue, that really puts the person in a position where this is something different. It's the same information, but it's different. So that forces them to respond differently. So that's the question that you want to ask. The second question that I normally ask people.
So the key language of peaking interest.
Key language of peaking interest. It's there, G, but it's not 10 questions. The 10 questions aren't there. Right.
So I'm going to give you the 10 questions. And these are just conversation pieces. Remember I started out saying earlier, this is how you link people. That question is, this is what I already know. I'm going to ask everybody the same question. How many of you in this room want more than what you currently have? How many of you in this room have ever been concerned about your health or having better health? Those questions are already in everyone else's mind. They're just looking for a way to do whatever they're doing, a simple way. So they're waiting for you to ask them the question. So here's what I want you to understand. Let that individual tell you no. Sometimes we think because of people that have success or they haven't had success, we generally want to answer the question for them. We want you to expose people to the information and let the system dictate the outcome. Does that make sense? The second question is, that I generally ask people from peaking interest. I'm just trying to provoke a certain response. If there was a way for you and I to cut 10 to 15 years off your current retirement plan, would you be open to some information on how to achieve that? Who would say yes to that question? The third question is, if there was a way for you and I to eliminate toxic products from our home, would it make sense to find out how we can do that together? Does that make sense? Yes. The fourth question, if there was a possibility of you generating your annual salary on a monthly basis, would you be open to some information on how to achieve that? The fifth question, if there was a way for you and I to put our families on the other side of money and get better health at the same time, would it make sense to find out how to do that? Number 6, I recently got involved with a team of individuals who are expanding in the U.S., positioning people like you and I to get better health to our families. Would you be open to some information on how to do that with me? Number 7, I recently ran into some information that is changing people's lives on the inside and out, physically, as well as financially. Would you be open to some information on how to do that for yourself? Does these questions make sense to anybody?
Yeah.
Are these pretty much designed to get you a yes answer? Now, here's the key to this. I gave you 7 questions, right? Right? I'm going to stop there. Because those are enough questions that you can formulate, digest, to get in your own vernacular to be able to share with people. But the key to this question is listening to that individual's response. Does that make sense? As we listen to that person's response, then the next step would be step 2, which we call an information drop. Now, some people are going to receive information differently. That's why our system is designed to facilitate that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As you looked at the calendar, we have live conference calls that our individual can be exposed to. We have our pre-recorded line, which I'm excited about, getting the opportunity to introduce them to the pre-recorded calls, the SISEL line, which is about a 3-minute overview. We have webinars that we'll be doing. We have CDs that will be dispersed. So now at this point, we want the information to guide the conversation versus us trying to guide the conversation. Does that make sense? We also have your website. So those are the things that's going to separate or allow the system to take care of itself. So as you expose the person to the information by asking the question, and then you want to immediately get them in front of the information. Now, the preferred method is if you're engaged in conversation, you've made a phone call, or you're in that person's presence, the best way to get them in front of the information, because remember this, we always have to give people an assignment and give them and tell them what to do. Because people are accustomed to being told what to do, right? People are accustomed to being told what to do. So if you give them assignments, and if you keep doing it, then they'll do exactly what you tell them to do. So if you tell them to do something and not wait for it, they'll do it. Does that make sense? They'll just keep doing it. They'll just keep doing it. They'll do exactly what you tell them to do because we've been trained to do exactly that. So if you give people definitive directives, they'll keep doing it. You have to close the gap. I want to see. Does that make sense? So we can't leave it. We've been accustomed to being told what to do our entire lives. So the same psychological concept, this business is 9.9% psychological and 1% practical. And that's the simplicity of it. So we have to give people assignments. Does that make sense? So we tell them what to do. So the best way is that pre-recorded, that's your best friend. That is your best friend. Because in 3 minutes of conversation, Adrian, how you doing? I've already piqued his interest. We have a relationship. He trusts me. He likes me a little bit. So I know I can share the information with him. Hey, I just found something that made sense. Hey, you got about 3 minutes, 5 minutes? Let me let you listen to some information real quick, right? Boom. You dial them in to that pre-recorded line. Because if you give them the number and expect them to do it, in most cases, they're not going to do it. But I'm a control freak when it comes to business because I want people to get in front of information as quickly as possible. So I want to take the time and three-way them into that call. Does that make sense? And then here's the key. We've exposed them, we've piqued their interest, we've gotten them in front of the information. So here's one word that I want everyone to eliminate out of their vocabulary when it comes to this industry. And you know what that verbiage is? What's the first thing we ask people after they look at the information or listen to the information? We don't care. What do you think? Right? So, how do you close that out? You want to, first of all, assume the close. We want to assume that they're going to do business with us. So here's what you want to do. As they're getting ready to listen to the information, you want to say something to this extent. Hey, Adrian, hey, after you take a listen to this information, it's going to be powerful. Right? It's going to be exciting. And I'm sure after you listen to the information, you're going to come to the exact same conclusion that I've already come to.